Make sure I get. Okay, it says we are live. Make sure we can be seen and can be heard. All right, and there we go. Grand morning, grand morning, grand morning, man. Ooh, it's your guy, Mr. Chauncey Reed, y'all. Hey, and just like always, as you all hop on, go ahead, drop your city, your state, where you're actually hopping on from. You know, so hopefully we can add some value to what you have going on in your life. Man, oh man. Ladies and gentlemen, hey, this morning I have the pleasure of interviewing Mr. I call him Coach because hey, he's a coach to me. He's one of my mentors, Coach June Collier. And ladies and gentlemen, I tell you right now, share. Go ahead and hit share, like this. I'm telling you, hey, subscribe, because I'm telling you now, he is going to drop some jewels this morning. I already know. So, man, hey, I know, like I say, I know y'all get tired of hearing enough of me. Man, hey, Mr. Collier, man, go ahead and just introduce yourself to the people.
Well, my name is June Collier. I live here in Atlanta, Georgia, and I am the VP of Marketing for a financial literacy company where we teach people really how to better manage their finances and how to create wealth that not only impacts their lives, but generations of their families' lives. And so we're really excited. And Mr. Reed, man, I'm so excited to be here on the call with you and all the wonderful things that you've been able to do with your finances, with your family, and then now the fact that you are impacting so many other people. Man, my hat goes off to you, and you know, just a big shout out to you for giving back to the community.
Oh, man. Thank you. But hey, now you know I'm gonna dive into it. I ain't even gonna play around. We ain't even gonna waste no time. So I definitely want to ask you, how was your life impacted, or how was your life before income shifting?
Yeah, you know, there was a time that I was struggling just like everybody else, living paycheck to paycheck. You know, a lot of guys that, you know, are in my econ are military guys. I was a military guy. I spent 10 years in the United States Navy. And I remember just thinking that there's got to be a better way. You know, living paycheck to paycheck isn't fun. And when an emergency happens in your life, you're trying to figure out how you're going to take care of this emergency. Where's the money going to come from? It can be very, very stressful. And so for me, income shifting helped alleviate that stress. But prior to, I'm like every other American out there that's worried about if something happens that you're not properly prepared for, how do you take care of that? And so there was that stress that was on my shoulders, and it was horrible, man. It was horrible. I mean, everybody knows that feeling, I think.
Hey, man, I know I can attest to it because it was not a good feeling. So let me ask you this then. How has your life changed since implementing income shifting to it?
Man, I'm going to tell you that the life difference and the change has been so dramatic that I almost forgot what it was like before I income shifted. Because I remember one day, and this was in the beginning of income shifting. I remember one day I was sitting down and I was paying out all of my bills. I got paid and I was paying out all my bills, and I had this money left over. And I was thinking, who did not pay? You know, I went back and I was checking because I never had, you know, money left over. And so I had to go back to make sure that I paid everybody. And it dawned on me that income shifting was starting to really work for me, you know, and that was the beginning stages of income shifting. I know you're laughing because you probably had the same thing happen.
Yes, yes.
But that was the beginning stages of how income shifting started changing my life. And then it got addictive. Income shifting can be very addictive to you because once you figure out the strategy, now you're constantly looking for different ways to income shift. Today, I don't even worry about money, and that's what it's a hard thing to understand when you are living paycheck to paycheck to say that you don't even worry about money. So I'll give you an example. My son, I have a truck and it's an older truck, and the transmission started slipping on Thursday. And so I took it to the mechanic and just told him to fix it, and normally I would be like, man, how much is this going to cost? Let me see what I can do. But I just told him to fix it. And I left the keys with him and I didn't even worry about it. I hadn't even thought about it. That's the power of income shifting. When things happen in your life and you know that you're already prepared to handle the emergencies, to handle the things that you never saw coming, man, that's a wonderful feeling to not even worry about how am I going to get it taken care of. I have no idea what he's going to charge me to fix the truck. It's just going to get done. And whatever he charges, I know I got the money to take care of it because I've started to income shift. There have been times, even now in my family's life, that something will occur and my wife will be like, oh, what are we going to do? And I'm like, babe, I already got it. We got it. Don't worry about it. Let's just go ahead and move forward, because she's not even as used to income shifting as I am, because, I've been the main one that has been income shifting so much that now I don't even worry about any financial hiccups. I don't worry about anything financially that happens in my household because I've become a master at income shifting, and it's made such a big difference in my life.
And I know, like you say, I know people are seeing me just laugh and smile because I can relate with it so much. Oh my goodness, it's so many times that I can relate that. Oh man, okay, this happens. Okay, well, hey, let's take care of it and not even worry about it. So man, right. I know how it's impacted me. But I also want to ask you this question then. How has income shifting impacted you when it comes to investing?
Listen, man. And let me, for those that really don't understand income shifting, let me kind of back up and just kind of, go through income shifting. The best way for me to describe income shifting is that it's a process whereby you leverage the movement of your money. I'm going to say that again. You are leveraging the movement of your money, and you're leveraging that towards your benefit. So, for example, we all are going to use money. And, another word for money is currency. And currency means that money moves. So money is always moving in our life, but we have the power to direct how that money moves. And so with income shifting, the money is going to move in your life regardless. It's going to move. But you now have the ability and the impact to really determine where that money moves and how it actually moves. And you leverage that movement to the best of your ability. So I'll give you an example. For those of you that have children, my children are grown now, but I remember putting them through Little League. I remember putting them through, just being a cheerleader and buying pom-poms and all of those types of things. Well, those are things that every parent does for their child. Every parent spends money on their child. When you buy the children new clothes, new shoes, we do all of those things. Income shifting says, I got to spend money on my child anyway. Let me start a business. Let me pay that child a wage. That wage is the money that I was going to spend anyway. But now, because it's in the form of a wage, I get to write off the tax deduction on that. And then we're going to take that wage and we're going to use that wage to go buy the school clothes. We're going to use that wage to go pay for the pom-poms and all of the things that I was going to spend on anyway. But because of income shifting, I ran it through a business, and now that money becomes a tax deduction, and it puts more money back into my pockets. That's just one way of income shifting, right? I saw you posted the other week, last week, about your credit card. Well, I started using my credit card solely for everything probably a few years ago, about 3 years ago. That's made a huge difference in my life because I don't use my debit card anymore. There's a couple of reasons. Using your credit card is actually safer than using your debit card. There's a lot of things that are there for you when you use your credit card. But the major thing is I use my credit card for everything. If I go to the store and buy something for $2, I pull out my credit card and pay for it. The reason I do that is because I pay my credit card off every week. So every Friday, I pay my credit card off. Now, however you do it is your way. But the reason why I do that is because I never use my credit card for stuff that I can't pay for cash anyway. But because my credit card gives me cash back, and I was going to buy that stuff anyway, I use my credit card for everything that I buy, and then I get cash back on everything that I buy. So I'm getting a discount on everything that I buy because it runs through my credit card. That's major. That's another way of income shifting. When it came to my finances, I had the ability to, one, get out of debt. So my first income shifting was really working on getting out of that small debt. I still got a mortgage, but I don't have a car payment. I don't have credit card debt. I don't have any of those types of things that I used to have that just bother me. Now, my money comes into my household, and I run that money through my investment portfolio. Now my investment portfolio has grown. I took some knowledge, learned how to trade stocks. I know we'll talk about that, but I took $5,000 and I turned that $5,000 in about 4 years to over $100,000. I took another account that I have, and that account had about $100,000. That account is now worth $300,000, and I did that in about a year and a half because I no longer have to worry about paying bills because I don't owe anybody. See, your money's going to work for you or somebody else. It's going to work for somebody. The question is who? I decided that when I was in debt, my money was working for my creditors. I worked all week hard. I labored all week, and then my creditors got the benefit. So I decided to cut them out of the picture. I paid them off quickly, and then I redirected. Remember, I told you income shifting is about redirecting the currency. I redirected that to my own profitable investments. And I started learning how to invest, and I took money and I started investing. And that money started growing on its own, and it started having babies. And so I like to tell people that I breed money. Right? I don't breed dogs, I breed money, right? And so my investment portfolio, man, is crazy. It's crazy. I will tell you that what I did last week. Last week, I had one day last week where I made $19,000 in one day. I'm going to just leave that right there. I made $19,000 in one day. Now, if you had told me that years ago that I'd make $19,000 in one day, there's only one thing that I know in my community that can make $19,000 in a day, and that's a drug dealer.
Exactly.
But I ain't nowhere close to being a drug dealer. I promise you that. And I made $19,000 in one day. It is not uncommon for me to make $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in a day. But this particular day, the stock market was really good that particular day, and I did $19,000. And the more that I income shift into my investment, the more money I have there. And so let me be transparent, because most people think, oh, he got this big secret. He got a big secret on how he trades stocks. That's really not the case. The case is I got a big portfolio. That's because I've been income shifting. So if you got $400,000 in the market and the market go up just 5%, well, 5% times $400,000 is $20,000. That's how it works. And any given day in the stock market, you can have a 2 and 3% day on any given day in the stock market. But this particular day was a great day in the stock market, and I made that kind of money in the stock market on that particular day. But it's because I've been income shifting so long that I've been building up the balance of my portfolio. And, I tell people, and I used to tell people this, I said, whenever I get my portfolio to a certain number, I'm good. So for me, $1 million in my portfolio is the goal right now. At 3%, if I have a day at 3%, $1 million at 3% is $30,000. I only need a couple of days like that out of the year, and I'm good. So see, I'm becoming self-sufficient in my life because of income shifting. Income shifting has affected me in so many different ways. But when I finally got to the end goal of income shifting, it was investing and me being able to build my investment portfolio so that if the stock market moved 3%, which ain't nothing, if it moved 3%, I made more money with it moving 3% in one day than most people make all year.
And and see, I mentioned to you earlier, because I'm gonna share with people as well, but because I understand it's all about the basics for a lot of people, and a lot of people don't understand the basics. And see, because I know people are hearing your numbers like, oh, I want those numbers, but a lot of them don't even know the difference between certain simple aspects, as far as between what's the difference between a stock, a bond, a mutual fund, a money market, which when they don't understand that, you can't even start trying to play in that game, because you will lose money. And rule number one, don't lose money. See, yes, I remember rule number one. I remember rule number one. And I want people to understand that you have to understand. You have to have a foundation. That's the biggest thing. Once you have a foundation, you can build something solid on that. And I got to share with you, because I mentioned it to you earlier, but I'm going to share some numbers with you all this morning in reference to a course that I take. They say you're supposed to invest in yourself. If you don't invest in yourself, how can you really invest in another company in any aspect? So, Coach teaches a basic investment course, you all. And myself, I took one of his first basic investment courses. And this was last year.
Right.
And since then, I took this basic investment class and implemented the lessons that I actually learned there. And since taking that class, this is a portfolio now that I'm sharing with you all that I manage personally. I also have one that I have a financial advisor manages, but this one I manage personally. Since taking his course, my portfolio has grown 813.12%. Okay, I'm gonna say that again now. This is a hey, hey, 813.12%. This was since I was taking the course and I started implementing the stuff that I learned. It doesn't stop there, because on top of that, now, because I know some people say, well, you still put money in, so that's what it was that you was actually doing. Because yes, I put money in. Like you say, when you income shift and you had that extra money, you gotta tell it where to go.
Right.
And you know exactly where I'm telling it to go. I'm like, hey, baby, I see this extra $140, hey, $400 in there. All right, I'm finna drop at least $3 in the investment this week, or just like that. So the returns, because this is what I do for not just myself, but also my children. For me, I had a return of 34% as of from now for this past year. For my oldest son, he had a return of 38%. For my youngest son, he had a return of 39%. So, man, so when I say the basics, you can't beat it, y'all. You can't beat it. And I'm saying all of this because, Coach, you teach a basic investment course, and I know you got one coming up. Share with them, just give them some information about this basic investment course that you actually teach.
Yeah, when I started, it took me a while learning how to invest in the stock market. I bought courses, taught myself, made money, lost money. And, Chauncey, when people start hearing those percentages, they really don't believe that. Matter of fact, I did a call last night, and I was telling them about putting money into an investment, into an IRA, and getting an 8% return, averaging an 8% a year return. 8%. I had somebody ask me about 8%. And I'm like, dude, if you only knew what I knew, you'd be mad if you got just 8% for the year. And so, but if you're not in the vein and understand where the money is moving, you have no idea. So the average person, they look at the interest that they get off of their savings account, which is 0.001, maybe 0.003%. And they think that that's what the standard going rate is. When you got, you guys heard Mr. Reed talking about 34, 38, 39% on top of the 800% that he's had since he's been self-managing his own money. Now, I'm smiling because I, too, used to have a financial advisor. Notice I said used to. Because as you continue to do this, you're going to start realizing that you're beating your financial advisor. You're going to start realizing that. You're going to start realizing, now, wait a minute. I'm over here getting this type of return, and my financial advisor is getting this type of return. Some got to give here. I need to shift my income once again and shift it out of the hands of somebody who is doing a decent job, but because you really have become a student of your own money, you're doing a much better job as a student of your own money. Now, you may not be ready to do that right now. You might say, look, I need to get a few more years up under my belt and build this portfolio to a certain level, because that's what happened to me. But the stock class, here's what I realized. I realized that most people, even if they do go out and find a class that teaches stocks, they'll go through that class and they will walk away confused. Because most of these stock classes, they're not thinking about a person that has no money, a person that has no knowledge, and teaching that person. They already have an expectation that you have certain cash flow that's flowing, They already have an expectation that you understand the basic terminology of the stock market. So when you jump in that class, and there ain't nothing wrong with that class, but when you jump in that class, there's a certain level of knowledge that you should already have. Mm-hmm. The problem is, in our community, most of us do not have that certain basic level of knowledge. Mm-hmm. And just like sports, every sport that you play, there's a basic level of knowledge. You got to figure out the foundations. You got to figure out the basics. And if you can play to the basics, you can win. But again, I found that most courses that I took, they started here when people are down here. And so I said, I got to do something about that. I'm going to create a basic course that takes a person that knows nothing, I mean, absolutely nothing, and take them in 6 weeks to a point that they now have an understanding and their mind opens up and they feel great about what they see. So in this course, if you know absolutely nothing about trading stocks, if you turn on CNBC and you see all those numbers running across the screen and they're talking about stuff and you see bar charts and you're like, what the heck is that? And you just quickly move on to the next station, you need to take my class. Because I guarantee that once you take my class, you're going to turn to CNBC and you're going to leave it on CNBC for a couple of hours because you now are going to know the language. You're going to hear the language. And listen, it is not by coincidence that they created a language that you don't understand. They don't want you in the game. They don't want you playing the financial game. They don't want you trading stocks. They don't want you. Oh, I sound like what's that rapper that said they don't want us to win, right? They don't want you to win, right? They give you a certain language that you don't understand, and when you don't understand that language, life passes you by. And I tell people that right now, in the last 4 years, there has been a wealth transformation in the last 4 years. If you have not been investing in the last 4 years, you have left a lot of money on the table. And these last 4 years have not been, and actually it's been longer than that. It's been ever since Barack Obama was in office that you should have been investing. But these last 4 years, the stock market has grown at a rate that I don't believe we've ever seen in history. Yeah. And if you haven't had any money in the market, listen, I'm going to say this, Chauncey. We had a pandemic that started back in March of 2020. I had one of my portfolio accounts. It was at $107,000 on March 23rd. That same portfolio at $107,000, that same portfolio 9 months, 10 months later is $283,000. That's almost a 200% return in less than 1 year. Why don't you want to learn how to make your money make money, right? I'm taking a dollar bill and I expect that dollar bill to go out and make me $3. Go have some babies. Yes. I'm breeding money. And so that's what we do in our stock class. We teach the basics, the basic fundamentals. We teach income shifting because you got to get out of debt, man, because the dollars that you pay to your debtors, those are dollars that you're never going to get the ability to breed. And that's what I look at. How can I breed my money? I'll give you something else as it relates to income shifting, and then I'm going to let you, finish up your interview. But income shifting is to the point now where instead of me going out and buying stuff with my, what I call my earned income, the dollars that I work for, I will take that money, invest it, and then let my dollars buy the things that I want. And I learned that from Robert Kiyosaki probably 15, 20 years ago. I saw him at a conference, And Robert said that he loves Lamborghinis. And he said that he had the money to go buy a Lamborghini cash. But instead, he'd go out and buy a hotel or a apartment complex using the same money that he would have bought the Lamborghini. He'd go take that money and buy the apartment complex, and then he would allow the profit from the apartment complex to pay for the Lamborghini. Because if he had took the cash and bought the Lamborghini, that would have been it. That would have been the end of the story for that cash. And in most cases, cars depreciate. So he would have put that money, let's say $100,000 into I'm sure it costs more than that, $100,000 into a Lamborghini, and that would have been it. But he took that $100,000, bought him an apartment complex. That apartment complex generates him profit every year. Every year. He takes that profit and he buys his Lamborghini. Let's say the apartment complex generates him $20,000 a year in profit. Well, in 5 years, he pays off the Lamborghini. But guess what? The apartment complex still generates $20,000 a year, regardless of whether he's getting a Lamborghini or not. That, my friend, is income shifting at its finest. And that's when you can income shift into finances and you can income shift into your investments, because your investments have so much more power than the thing that you bought that no longer is something that you even want 5 years from now. So that's how I look at it from my investment portfolio. When I want to go out and buy some stuff, especially like I want to go out, I want to buy a new iPhone. I want to buy an iPhone. I want to buy the latest MacBook. I want to buy that stuff, right? And I know I've guessed it's going to cost me about $3,000. Now I can take $3,000 out of my check and go buy that. Or I can take the $3,000, go put it in the stock market and have the stock market pay for my iPhone, pay for my laptop. And then when the iPhone and laptop are paid off, it's still generating me cash flow. That's income shifting to its finest.
Ooh, man. Woo. Man, this thing is on fire right now. Oh my goodness, man. Woo. Yeah, y'all, if y'all just tuning in, man, I hope you, man, caught what Coach is talking about, y'all, because, man, he just shared with you all $1 million worth of gain, period. He shared with y'all $1 million worth of gain. And you want to do what wealthy people are doing. Okay. Absolutely. But you also got to put yourself in position so that you can do what wealthy people are doing. I'm telling y'all, ladies and gentlemen, it's easy. I remember, I'm going to take a quote from you, Coach. Becoming wealthy is boring.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what people really don't understand. They want sparks and all type of stuff. But hey, when you said that, I was like, man, he's right. Because it's the same mundane thing over and over again, and I'm seeing it firsthand. So I can agree 100% with when you said that. I was like, hey, how you say you felt that? I felt it here. I felt it here when you said it, Coach. Man, man, but I already know, Coach. I could talk to you forever. I know I could. But man, but before we close it out, man, how can they? I put some stuff in the comments and stuff, ladies and gentlemen, so you can definitely reach out to him, especially for his course or just reaching out to him, period. How can they reach you on all of the social media platforms?
Well, you can find me on Facebook at June Collier. And that's JUNECOLLIER. As far as my stock course, we're going to be releasing that sometime this week. We're going to start taking enrollments, and then we're going to start training on the first Thursday of February. But if you want to be notified, you can go to trainwithjune.com, trainwithjune.com. I've got where you can just get on my list, and I'll let you know as soon as we roll that out. That's going to be a great class. I mean, you know, Chauncey, I think you've taken the class 2 or 3 times. And that's one thing, you know, once you get in the class, you take the class, you can take it as many times as you want, over and over and over again. Because, you know, what I find is that you go through the class the first time and you learn some stuff. But then you come through the second time and you see a whole different set of information and you learn something different the second time that you go through the course. And so that's the other nice thing about what I'm doing is I said, I don't want to make it a pay for the course and you can only take it one time. If you want to take the course 10 times, and I'm doing it live. I'm doing live trainings with folks so that people are asking questions. If that's what you want to do, then it's there. You pay for it. Because I believe that I got to give back to the community and I've got to give back to our culture to make sure that they really learn how money actually works. Because, you know, you're right. It's boring. Getting wealthy is boring. You figure out how something works and then you practice that over and over and over again. I'm doing the same thing that I was doing 6 years ago, 7 years ago. It's just that I got more money to do it with now, right? And so when my money multiplies, it's a big multiplication. See, I made almost 20,000 in one day. You could take that same strategy, but if you didn't have as much money as I had, you might have made $200 that day. The percentages were the same. The only difference was I've been income shifting longer than you, and I've built up my portfolio, and every dollar that I have that comes into my house, I'm trying to put it into an investment where it's going to double. I'm trying to get that dollar to start having babies and produce. When you get to that level of understanding, every dollar, every free dollar that you can get, you put in that system, and you do the same thing over and over and over again. It's boring, but it's nice boring because it starts to slowly change your financial life. And that's why we're shifting our money. That's why we're shifting and using credit cards instead of debit cards, getting that cash back. See, I can take that cash back and put it in the stock market, right? And then you'll get to the point, and I know me and Chauncey talked about this, you'll get to the point that you understand some things like how to invest, and you'll go out and you'll teach people how to invest. And you'll take the money that you charge to teach them how to invest, you'll take that money and put that money in the stock market. Mm-hmm. See, you'll start income shifting your ideas. Your ideas will start putting money in your pocket. At that point, you have become self-sufficient. Man, I'm gonna drop it right there, man, because I can go on. My life has totally been transformed because of income shifting. And I'm talking about income shifting in so many different ways, it's ridiculous. So back to you, Chauncey, man. I don't want to take over the call.
Oh my goodness, man. See, man, coach, man, I know I said it a million times, man. I have to say, hey, thank you for taking the time out to just hopping on here and sharing people giving them an insight of the power of income shifting. I mean, that's the best way to say it. Really giving them an insight on it. And hey, y'all, man, if you catching the replay, #replay, I'm telling you, you definitely want to share this. If you got somebody you really care about, y'all, man, and y'all always talk about money, man, share this with them. Share it with them. Hey, man, it's $1 million worth of game in this one, y'all. I tell you, it's $1 million worth of game in it. So definitely, man, I posted the information, how you can get in Coach's investment course, how you can reach out to him as well. So you definitely, man, reach out to him. I'm telling you. I know y'all already heard some of the numbers, how he's impacted me and my family, and it's not going to stop there. So again, man, this your guy, Mr. Chauncey Reed, y'all, man. Y'all already know. Y'all have a great day and a blessed week.